Not at all. Over to Aston Villa, who are on a little bit different side on the way up. Their owners have pumped another £50 million into the club. What is the significance of this? Why have they done this?
I think if you look at this, there are three owners really. There's Norris, Wes Edens, and then there's a company called Ataris, and it's Ataris that have put this 50 million in. It gets them up to, I believe, around about 31.5% ownership of Aston Villa, whereas Soros and Edens have about 34% each. So they still keep control, but it sort of levels up the partnership to a degree. That 50 million, I think there's some very big infrastructure projects that they're looking at right now in terms of around the stadium and the stadium itself. A lot of things there to go. And, there may be some that finds its way towards helping out football payments as well. It's not a huge sum, the 50 million, but it keeps Villa in good position in terms of PSR. I know they're going to be pretty tight there, but still, I think this should just about do it.
And for Aston Villa, obviously John Duran's just gotten a new contract, and Aston Villa continuing to find new successes, making the Champions League, beating Bayern Munich. How do they make sure, and how worried do they have to be about keeping their wage structure in a certain way so that, in case the club doesn't continue to be a Champions League club, they don't find, issues in the future?
Well, this is, the usual football conundrum, isn't it? I mean, you want to be a Champions League club, but you know that you can't spend the budget to maintain it. It's tough. I think a lot will depend, those sort of decisions, and we're going to know pretty soon as to how well they do in the Champions League. They've had a great start. They've had 2 wins already. That's an extra 4 million at least plus. So Villa, if they qualify, and it looks like they will qualify for the further stages of the Champions League, then yes, the temptation will be how do we spend that, and how can we maintain that longer term if we don't carry on being a top 4 club. They're in that position right now of challenging for that position within the league. I mean, they're in the top group just now that are hunting it down. Long way to go in the season, but I think as you get towards Christmas, you're going to have to see where you can make a calculated gamble, and that's what football is in many ways, is a calculated gamble, and that's where the good owners come through with it, and they can make a decision that is backed up on the pitch. They've got such a settled group now with Unai Emery and Monchi behind the scenes. I think that they would tend to say, let's give it a go. And so I think that's where Villa would end up going with it and say, yes, we are going to have a go at trying to be a consistent Champions League team. And that would be an amazing rise that they've done over the last few years. So good luck to them.
And then the Aston Villa owners this week, they've pumped another £50 million into the club. What is the significance of that money going in? And is that something they need to keep doing while the club's in the position it is in?
They've got to pay the bills. So they need the cash in the club because they're loss making. And Villa are one of those clubs that's got a wage bill that's versus its revenue very high. It will improve if they can continue to regularly qualify for the Champions League, and it will improve if they have a good Champions League season this season. But at the moment, they lose a lot of money. So they need the cash to be put in. It can either be put in as a shareholder loan, as we know about, we talked about, or they can put it in as equity, as they have done here. So, they've chosen not to build up a big shareholder loan, which, given the changes that are likely to come into those rules, now appears to be a decent bet. But in any event, they probably couldn't have done the shareholder loan on the back of the UEFA rules, because they're probably pretty close to breaching UEFA, FFP. And so they probably haven't got the leeway to put loads of money in as shareholder loan and have to pay the interest or account for a market level of interest within their FIFA submissions. So that's probably their driver for it.